Gary Peterson here. Today I'm going to teach you how to get 15% more power with no extra effort. That's a funny thing to say, isn't it? No extra effort or minimal extra effort. So here's a drive here. There's a drive. And that's pretty good, it's not too bad, but let's just increase the power a little bit. What I'm going to ask you to do is I'm going to ask you to tilt your racket, so I'll face the camera for this one. I'm going to ask you to tilt your racket forward and across that way. So we go, okay, if I'm facing the right way, if I'm facing this way, I'm going to tilt my racket up, back that way. So if I say, okay, it's going to be, generally what I ask people when they start playing is to point towards the top corner where the roof meets the wall, meets the front wall. Side wall meets the front wall, meets the roof, that point up there. So if I point towards that corner up there and start there every time. If I start there, look at that. Like it's just gone by itself exactly to target, and that's the other thing that it does for you. It gets extremely accurate really quickly, really easily. It makes you push the ball away from you a little bit, and the outcomes are really direct quality hits. But the power is what we get, and the reason we get the power is that there. Oh, here we go. Yeah. The reason we get the power is because you get a little bit of wrist flick in it. Now you can do it on forehand as well, but it's not as good. And the reason is you need to understand your wrist on forehand to do it, there and there, rather than here and doing too much wrist. Your wrist starts to do all this on the forehand and it starts to get really messy. But backhand is such a place for it, it's really good. So I tilt it back here, there. You get that snappy sound, which is really good. Point it over, and there's that snappy sound again. It doesn't matter if you go and play a boast here, there, it gets really good because you can't see the racket, you can't tell what it's doing because it gets that little flick in it, so it gets really capable and really good. In the back corner, I'm going to turn it over here, and it pulls out a boast because you get a little bit of flick power. It comes out really well. So let's talk about when to use it and how to use it. What happens is a general basic swing will be here, you'll come around here, you come around here, you'll come around here, and you'll come around here. But what this does, this will reduce some of this requirement to do all that. You'll actually keep everything a little bit more in front of your body. Okay, so you get a little bit more advanced swing rather than the beginner swing. So the beginner swing will go here and it'll go around there, and you use your body for power. Beginner swing here, and there. Then you go and put your wrist in here. So what I'm doing is I'm tending to keep everything more in front of my body, which then becomes more of a pendulum swing, which then becomes more of an advanced swing. So everything gets better. So this is the start of it all. You tilt your wrist this way, and you don't need to do as much of that. You don't need to do as much of the body work prior to striking. You get some more power out of your flick and out of the strength of your wrist. So it gets really capable. So turn your wrist over. How far do we turn it over? That's the next one. So the way I generally do it is I get people to turn it over this far, then point to the side wall and try that and go, that's a long way, like that's too far. So I point it that way and you go, it's all right, but it felt terrible, that's too far. And so then you get them to try a little bit up a bit higher, so I'll try about there, try it there, and you go, that's not quite right. Then you try a little bit higher, and you try it up about there, 45 degrees or so, and you go, oh, that got a bit snappy, got a little bit better, and I'll try it just even a little bit higher than 45 here. Now we're somewhere, right? Now this needs to go in. This is why it's a little bit more advanced than just beginner. You need to use punch driving as part of it. So punch driving is where you actually hit and be strong, and you don't have too much follow through. So there, just touch, and the ball goes. So if I do that and turn this over, it goes quite well because it didn't have the big follow through. So by turning that over, you don't need the big follow through. And so it gives you the power that you need out of your wrist action without requiring the big body power. So it reduces the requirement for the body power, but you use your body in different ways. The body is used by using punch muscles and holding your core really strong. So it's a strong core, punch muscles, turn this over, pointing towards that front corner, somewhere there. Work out where it suits you best, and you'll find it'll be fantastic. It's just seriously, seriously good. It's a wonderful thing. Most people, when I coach them, I go, I want you to turn this way, can you do that? And it also sets their wrist. So it sets the wrist back like this, so it keeps your wrist cocked, which is fantastic. Yep. So it keeps your wrist cocked back that way. So if I was to do forehand, backhand that way, there. If I was to do a forehand that way, I'd be back there. So my wrist is still in the same place. So there's forehand, there's backhand. Forehand, backhand, forehand. So forehand would be there, that's forehand there, that's the backhand there. Yep. So notice the forehand kept the racket back that way. It didn't go over this way. So it's not pointing towards that top corner. Back there, and open a little bit. Then it gets a little bit better. So here, back that way, over that way. So over into the front wall, not over to the side wall, not over to the front wall that way, but over to the corner that way. So 45 degrees out that way, and up that way. So up there, 45 out. Up there, 45 out. Beautiful outcome. Fantastic outcome. It will just straighten balls for you magnificently because it stops that turning around and gets rid of all that rubbish on your follow through as well. So it goes really, really well. So 15% more power, bang, just do that. And you can't go wrong. Looks fantastic as well. Keeps everything nice and compact and neat and tidy. You'll have a nice low preparation, which you can do as you get better. You start to lower your preparation as you get better. And everything gets really neat. There you go, tilt it over somewhere there, and you'll just reap the benefits of power and accuracy, and it will increase, that will increase your power by 15%. Just with that one simple little tip. It's just fantastic.